Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Gripe, the show for short, sweet reviews and new release movies, plus the one thing that annoyed me the most. And today I'm going to be talking about the new film Edge of 17, and there will be minor spoilers. Nadine is struggling through the awkward life of a teenage girl who has one friend and a mildly sympathetic teacher. But when her best friend starts dating her twin brother, she finds herself facing the madness of high school and life on her own. The film stars Haley Steinfeld, Woody Harrelson, Kira Sedgwick, Haley Lou Richardson, Blake Jenner, and Hayden Sato. And the film is directed by Kelly Fremon Craig. The movie begins as most teenage angst films do, with the whole let me tell you a story shtick, but the film goes beyond the typical high school rom-com fish out of water story. I mean, it employs some familiar cliches like, the awkward girl likes the cute boy, house parties, all those sort of things, but the end result doesn't really follow your typical script. Nadine is not entirely a likable character. In fact, we don't like her. We're shown from the beginning that she really does struggle with confidence, and she channels that into this sort of aggression against people. The thing, though, is her character is brutally real, that socially awkward teen with real confidence, social interaction issues. And unlike movies like She's All That, the awkward teen is always awkward. You also get more resistance to conformity. There's no grand changing scene. There's no moment where she goes from being just this weirdo to being the hot girl. There isn't that cliche. She stays who she is throughout the entire film. And what that gives us is something true about people like her, and people like me, really, too. She thinks she understands the world, but that arrogance is also a defense mechanism. She is this old soul who simply doesn't fit into the norms of her age, and yet her romanticized image of age is part of her hubris. She doesn't really understand that she is 17. No matter how much she tries to fight that reality, she is still 17. And ultimately, she blames the world for her lot without really taking responsibility for her own behavior. Her father dies in front of her, but even before that, she has these social anxiety issues. And she kind of uses that experience of losing her dad as this excuse for why she's behaving the way she does. And that blindness to the struggles of other people is ultimately her revelation when she realizes that when she sees herself, she doesn't like what she sees, but she can't change it. But that's also profound since that's how she perceives the world, that no one thinks about her. They always think about themselves, they just don't think about her. I can't think of a better way to sum up the teenage experience than this character, than Nadine. And that's why we don't like her, and yet we all know her too well. We have been her. Steinfeld is the core of this film, and she excels in every way imaginable. She was nominated at age 14 for True Grit, so we know that she has the acting chops. But she is hardly alone with some other great performances in the film. Like you have Woody Harrelson as the wise-ass teacher. Kira Sedgwick plays her self-absorbed, kind of clueless mother, but you would expect that from a widow who really doesn't know what to do with life after losing her husband. Jenner plays her twin brother, and he is a sympathetic character, but you don't see that through Nadine's eyes. When you see through Nadine's eyes, you think he's a jerk, but you understand later on in the film that he's not. And Richardson is another young actress who gives a solid performance as the best friend, and you can tell that she has this very mature depiction in the role. And I also really enjoyed Zato's character, who was curiously awkward himself. He was just adorably clumsy throughout the film. It's awesome. This is the directorial debut from Kelly Fremon Craig, as well as her screenplay. And it's a cleanly made film with the soft timbre of Oregon as the setting, even though some of it was filmed in Canada. The writing is superb throughout, with sharp dialogue and meaningful drama. And some scenes really do feel familiar because they seem pulled directly from real life, from real experiences. Some of which it's like, oh my god, I've had that experience. It's also a good balance of comedy and drama, and it succeeds on both levels. And that's mostly because the film deals with some pretty serious themes like anxiety, confidence, and that delusion or expectation that things are going to end up a certain way, or wishing for something to happen a certain way, and then when you actually get that, realizing that you're not really ready for the reality of it. And there's one scene in particular when she gets the boy, per se, and it's so well done that it's painful. Like, how realistic it is actually kind of painful to watch. But it is real. And it's stuff like that that really hits home that what we see in this complex yet simply real character is something we can all relate to. It was really difficult to pull something wrong with this movie, so my key gripe for this movie is actually just kind of one thing that annoyed me a little bit, and that was at the beginning of the movie there is this narration. The movie starts and then she goes into, wait, let me explain the past sort of thing. If there is going to be narration, it should stand to reason that she's telling someone this story. And even though she's sort of telling it to Harrelson, it never really swings back around as narration. So it's one of those kind of cliches that they throw in there. It's like, let me tell you about my childhood. It just seems a little out of place that it was narrated instead of simply just shown. Even though the information is relevant, it's the method that's peculiar because they never bring that narration back into the story. There's no more inner monologue throughout the movie, so it just felt kind of off. And since I've seen this movie twice, that's still the same thing that annoyed me both times. Overall, this is a remarkable film that subverts most of the common cliches for a coming-of-age story. Led by Steinfeld's excellent performance, this shows us the painful and confusing world of a teenager. In a way, it's a look at the past, almost a desire to tell our younger selves that 17 is only the beginning. I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10 because it is just a fantastic work of art. I was blown away by this film, absolutely loved it, thoroughly enjoyable film. Let me know what you thought of Edge of 17 if you've seen it. Hopefully you have. If you haven't, you definitely should go out and see it. And that does it for this episode of Key Gripe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Nice work. Good job. If you like what you saw, you can just go ahead and click that subscribe button for all videos past and future. You can also head over to my website and see all the other stuff that I do, including the books I've written. So go ahead, click stuff.